Hello everybody and welcome to the 12th episode of Super Sourcecast. I'm your host NantenJex, and joining me today is article lead Spazzy D.
Hey guys.
And alongside him is the feature lead EpicMartine.
Hey guys.
So, Martin, I believe this is your first time joining us for a Super Sourcecast.
Yes it is. I mean, I've been on the Obsolete podcast before, but this is my first time one-upping, I guess.
Well, we always start these podcasts by the simple, how are you doing? So, Martin, how are you doing today?
Not too bad. Wish it was a little warmer where I lived, and the weather can't really make up its mind, so...
I know that feeling. Siberian winds coming in and covering everything with snow over here for over the last few days. It's starting to clear up outside, but the cold is still sticking by. It's awful.
Yeah, at least you have one consistent weather pattern. Me, it's just like, hey, look, hot weather. Oh, man, that sucks. So...
Is it the same for you, Spazzy? What's it like in Florida right now?
I live in Miami. It's fine. It's
You lucky son of a gun. You lucky son of a gun.
It is 73 degrees out right now, according to Google.
Oh wow, Jesus!
Do not brag.
Well, I'm sitting here bundled up in my dressing gown and got the heater on behind me, or just to stay nice and warm on a relaxing Sunday. But anyway. What games has everybody been playing? Spazzy?
I have not been playing like anything. I played actually honestly like hardly anything at all. I played some Smash Brothers for the first time in a while last night, which was fun. Always the best party game.
Mm-hmm.
I got to play as Cloud, as Ryu, all of my favorites. So besides that, like I really haven't been doing anything. I've been thinking of starting World of Warcraft again. I think I have a good relationship with Warcraft compared to some people. Because I play like every other expansion. I play for like 6 months and then I'm all like, that's enough Warcraft. I'm never playing this game again. And then they start showing the new expansion. I'm all like, oh, all of this stuff is interesting. It's like active nostalgia. It's weird.
Well, I could never get into World of Warcraft. My fiance was really into it, but I played it for like 20 minutes, and then I was like, I'm getting bored of this almost instantly.
Have you ever played any MMOs?
I played RuneScape a lot when I was younger.
Yeah,
I think that's probably it.
Yeah, RuneScape's like its own thing almost, because it's like, I feel like RuneScape's audience largely consisted of a bunch of like kids in middle school that had nothing else to do.
That was about the right age I was when I started playing RuneScape.
Never really got into RuneScape, but always heard a lot about it. Same thing with, I think, Dune. Not Doom, but Dune. That was interesting. It was a PC game, I think, where you kind of roamed around the sand, the setting, I guess. Okay. I don't know the full details. Let me look it up.
Does Club Penguin count as an MMO?
Club Penguin's my favorite anime. Like I guess there was a video game based off of the book Dune, but like I can't think of like.
There was a game called Dune 2000.
Still not heard of it. I've heard of Come Fly With Me. I think that's or Fly for Fun. That's an MMO I've heard of.
Yeah, I mean, I went through and I played quite a few MMOs, both flavors of Final Fantasy Online. I went through, back in the day, played City of Heroes, some Lord of the Rings Online, a lot of Star Wars. Not the original Star Wars MMO, but the Star Wars The Old Republic, the BioWare one.
Yeah.
And I know that that's not a game that's very beloved by a lot of people. But the story was fun. I was going to say in single player, it's an MMO, but it kind of felt like that. The actual story going through was fun. And a lot of people didn't like it, but I loved the PvP in that game, man. Some friends and myself, we used to play the PvP all the time, like ranked, so much fun.
All right, Martin. How about you? What games have you been playing recently?
Well, same as Spazzy, I've been playing a lot of Smash Wii U, and if you follow me on Twitter just a bit, or if you know me in the Discord server, I play a lot of modded Smash Brothers. I've been adding a lot of pretty cool stages to the game. One of them was, I can't remember the author's name, but the stage is called Sunset Seashore. It's based on the stage from Donkey Kong Country Returns with the shadowy feel to it, and I thought that was genius. Sakurai, please put that in the next game if you're listening, if you listen at all.
I think the stages with those nice visual effects are really good, and it's fun to see them from modded games. I think Paper Mario stage where everyone goes flat, like the Game & Watch stage, is really cool, and I know I've seen that before. Mm-hmm. So a stage where everyone is a silhouette, I think is perfect. Like, I think it's a really clever idea, and it kind of goes into a discussion we were having probably over Discord. Me and Push were actually having, I think, in a discussion about. Actually, I don't think that discussion's come out yet. It's to do with villains for Smash Brothers, but we were talking about silhouettes and how it's really important that each character has a unique silhouette if they're going to play differently. Like, it's okay for Pit and Dark Pit to have the same silhouette because they're clones, so they play the same. But you can't have, say, Samus and Dark Samus play differently if their silhouette is the same.
Yeah.
Because that will confuse people. We're talking about it, something Sakurai's talked about before when he's at GDC around Brawl's time. So I think that stage is like a perfect example to show that off.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I've been adding some pretty cool skins. There was one released with for Mario based on his appearance in Super Mario All-Stars, and for some reason I've always kind of had an attachment to that collection. I've always loved the presentation of that game, so I instantly downloaded it, and you know there's a little minor errors if you in the modeling and all of that, but it still looks pretty cool if you look far away, and add something pretty cool to the game. So I've been playing a little bit Smash Brothers. I would be playing my Switch. However, I've been a little bit busy with, education, college, and it's been stored somewhere, and I've just been kind of too lazy to bring it out. So I would say only yesterday I brought it out, and even then I was testing another mod for Smash 4, which was Discord integration. I actually thought that was really cool. Shoutouts to Jam1 Garner, who is a awesome modder in the community. This mod basically allows other people to see like what modes you're in, what stages you're on, and the characters you're playing all through your Discord profile. So that is pretty cool. That actually kind of lowballed me because I never thought I wanted it, but now I want it. The only thing is I can't play with mods together, so I'm probably not going to use it that much until they implement that feature. But other than that, just playing a lot of Smash Wii U, trying to finish up Mega Man 2. I know a lot of people have probably finished it, in their sleep, but this is one game I still haven't finished, and I've been playing the Petit Computer remake. Yes, there's actually someone took the game, rebuilt it from the ground up, and coded it in BASIC. I am not kidding you. It's amazing what these programmers can do. And everything's the same, the physics are the same, but they've added in a level editor, a boss rush mode, and a sound test, which is really cool. They also integrated a little touchscreen feature. The select button can be used because that brings you back to the Petit Computer menu. However, you can just press the start button and use the touchscreen to change the items. They also allow you to use the shoulder buttons. So, yeah, basically I've been playing a lot of Mega Man 2 and Smash Brothers.
Okay.
So
nice. Well, yeah. I've been playing more games than you guys have. Just a lot of it's just trying stuff out. I've been trying a game called Grid Challenge on Switch that just came out, which I'm meant to be reviewing, and I tried Electroplankton for the first time for like an hour. I didn't realize how little of a game that actually is, and how it's much more of a music creation simulator. It's literally a bunch of modes where you tap or spin or mess around with the electroplankton on the touchscreen and they make noises, and you just or you can watch it. You can also just watch pre-made songs.
Pretty much exactly the stage in Brawl.
Yeah, basically. I played that mode, and all you're doing is Fisher jumping, and you have to use the touchscreen to reposition the leaves, and you create a sound by reflecting the the fish jump, hit the leaf, and just bounce around, and that makes a song.
Huh. Interesting.
It's like that's just the whole point of that mode. That was actually one of the funner modes. I enjoyed the game. It's very basic, and I'm not very good with music, so I was just messing around, not really creating anything. But I think I enjoyed Hannenbau more than some of the other mini games than that. Other than that, I have beaten Persona 5 finally. I only started it on like New Year's Day, and 2 months later, I've managed to beat it 100-something hours. It's a really good game. I'm a bit wound up. There's only like 2 trophies I need, which I have to get in New Game Plus. And I tried to get them yesterday, but I thought, I'll be fine. I'm like level 99 maxed out. I'll be able to beat the secret boss. But no, when you go into New Game Plus, it resets your level down to level 1. And that's just absolutely a nightmare. Because it took me like 6 hours to get to the point where I can fight that boss and also unlock the strongest persona. And I didn't have enough money to do it. Because I was at such a low level, I have to spend money to get the stronger persona. Which means that the only way I'm going to be able to do this is by going back to the file before I beat the last boss and grinding there. So I can take my money across with me when I beat the game. And I just don't feel like doing that. And it's really, really wound me up, and I needed to complain about it. But other than that, Persona 5 is a really good game.
And now you complained about it. I think I'm gonna get into some more retro gaming soon. There's some more franchises I feel like revisiting. Yeah. A while back, I wanted to replay all of the original Phantasy Star games, and I played the first 2, but I didn't get to the next 2. And Phantasy Star 4 always needs to be played. I've tried multiple times to go through every Final Fantasy, and I always like, it's hard. It's hard at the beginning, especially because I feel like Final Fantasy 2 is not that great of a game.
Well, I need to get through my immediate backlog. I'm trying to rush through Dragon Ball FighterZ at the moment, because I was playing that and stopped so I could beat Persona. But I also got Tokitori 2 Plus that just came out on the Switch.
When do you consider Dragon Ball FighterZ, since it's a fighting game, done? Just the regular story mode?
Yeah, it has a story. It has the story mode, and that's what my aim is, to get through that and unlock Android 21. And then I may check to see what trophies there are, if there are any I can get. Like, do arcade mode on the highest difficulty. Maybe I'll play a couple matches online, and then I'll call it a day.
You know what I want to play is A Whole New World on the Nintendo Switch, but Push Dustin took a review copy. So...
I wish I had seen that. I agreed to do Grid Challenge, and then he said, you can do this one as well. And I was like, I feel in the mood to do a puzzle game. I'll take Grid Challenge. And then I watched the trailer for A Whole New World, and I was like, "Shit, this is right up my alley."
Yeah, it looks really good. Yeah, I think he did that. I think he did that on purpose. He's like, "Hey, we got a couple games to review. Here's some puzzle game." And then he showed
the Steeler review codes.
Have you seen the trailer for this game, Martin?
No, I haven't yet. Again, been pretty busy, but.
We'll
send it to you after this, but it looks really fun, actually. I need to get Celeste and Golf Story, and there's just so many games I need to get.
Golf Story is so good.
But I'm playing Tokitori 2 at the moment, because it was originally, I liked the first one. It was like a puzzle platformer. I don't know if either of you played it. But they added the second one on, and the second one is like a Metroidvania game.
Weird. Yeah, I played the first one. This one's like a Metroidvania that doesn't make...
Yeah, the second one, and it's a really good Metroidvania. I remember seeing it get a lot of praise when it came out, and then for some reason, I was like, I'll just buy it when it's on sale on the Wii U, and they removed it from the Wii U eShop.
What?
And they said that they weren't making games anymore. And I was like, what? So I've completely lost my chance to play this. But then out of nowhere, they released it on the Switch, and added a bunch of new features to it. Like, you go on their website and there's this massive list of brand new features for Tokitori 2 that they didn't need to add. And they're all, like, positive changes, making things, like, play better and all sorts. And I was like, holy shit, this is really good. So I ended up buying it. And I'm not letting them take it off at this time. I want to play this one this time. So I've been doing that a bit at the moment. But that's a lot of fun.
I bought a little while ago, because I ended up having some extra eShop money. I don't even remember what it was. But I bought SteamWorld Dig 2, and I still haven't started it yet. And
Such a good game.
Yeah, that's what everyone says.
I downloaded a couple weeks ago Blaster Master Zero, and I still haven't started that game yet. Because I'm still trying to go through Breath of the Wild and a little bit of Mario Odyssey. So
I haven't gone. I need to get the last DLC outfits and do the Trial of Sword in Breath of the Wild. I haven't touched Mario Odyssey, so I haven't played any of the new updates. And Xenoblade Chronicles 2 literally got updated the other day with new blades and new story stuff. And I'm like, oh, come on, stop, please. I've got to play new games. I can't go back to these old ones. I've got sitting next to me the Crash and Sane Trilogy, Ever Oasis, and Okami HD that I want to try and get to at some point.
I also want to finish Freedom Planet as well. Like, that's the one game I hear it's so good, and I've loved the story so far.
I liked it on Steam. It was my only problem with Freedom Planet is I felt the story was really unnecessary.
It was really cheesy. Like
it was, but
super cheesy.
It's just one of them games where I think I not bothered really by the story. I don't mind them having a premise and an ending, but they really sometimes I felt like I was watching more cutscenes than I was actually playing a game.
I mean, it's a good game. I don't know if I would go so far as to say it's like a great game, but it's a very neat, combination of kind of classic Sonic with a little bit of kind of, Gunstar Heroes, and it's kind of actually Jazz Jackrabbit-y if you think about it. Like, it's actually very. Like, did either of you ever play Jazz Jackrabbit back in the day?
No, I've seen enough of videos of it to know what it's like, though.
Yeah, it's kind of that same vibe, Sonic with guns.
Yeah. Well, talking of Sonic is a good way to segue into our news section, because the first news story we have is actually a collection of 3 news stories, but they're all about Sonic the Hedgehog. And
oh boy.
So the first of these is that there is a Sonic the Hedgehog movie coming out. We've known about it for a while. It's going to be one of those Alvin and the Chipmunks, half animated, half real life movies, and that's apparently going to begin production and filming this year. Now, I believe Ian Flynn is one of the writers for it, and he's the guy who's done the Sonic the Hedgehog comics for Archie, and now doing the new comic series that they're starting.
Oh man, is Robotnik / Eggman going to be live action or CGI?
He might be. I mean, that might be how they do it. I don't know how they're going to do it, but we might find out soon. As well as this other one, and that's a rumored Sonic racing game from the people who did Sega All-Stars, kind of leaked by a toy company who previously made Sonic All-Stars racing toys, had a PowerPoint thing, I guess, to investors or at an event, and they said that they were making toys for a new Sonic racing game by Sumo Digital, and just a Sonic one, like Sonic Drift 3 almost, instead of Sega All-Stars. And the reason I'm combining these two is because in March, Sega are having an event where they're going to be discussing the future of Sonic at a panel. I think it's March 14th when this event is. And so I'm imagining that they're going to announce this game there, talk about the Sonic movie there, and potentially even announce whatever plans they've got for the main series, whether they announce that they're going to be working on another Sonic Mania, or if there's any more stuff coming to Forces, or if they're just going to drop that. That's all coming up soon. I thought we could talk about, a Sonic racing game, Sonic movie, and what we think Sega might have to show.
Well, I guess I'll get mine out of the way. Ever since Sonic Forces, and the reception that thing got, and especially the DLC controversy with that game, and I'm not even including the Sonic costume they had. I'm a little burned out with Sonic. I mean, Sonic Mania was awesome, and I will go back and state that I will replay that game till I die. That game's pretty good, really good. However, I do think that the future of Sonic is a little bit questionable, because we really don't know which direction the main series is going to take. And while I'm kind of looking forward to see what they do with the movie and see what they do with the racing game, I'm just putting my hands up and saying whatever works for them is fine. I'm just going to be hesitant with my money from now on.
Yeah, I get a feeling that Sega are probably just going to plow ahead as they have been doing. What that's a good thing is that they'll make another Sonic Mania, because I think that game obviously was the better selling and better critically acclaimed of the last two, and was nominated for awards and all sorts. So I think Sega would be foolish to not capitalize on that. At the same time, that'll be like Sonic Team US will be doing Sonic Mania, and then Sonic Team Japan will be doing just 3D Sonic, and 3D Sonic will just continue to be hit or miss constantly.
Well, the thing is, if they are going to do another Sonic Mania, and that's not the whole point of this discussion, but they better get Christian Whitehead back in there.
I mean, I said Sonic Mania US. I feel like that's if they're consistently producing quality stuff, I could easily see Sega making them like a US division with Christian Whitehead as the director. It depends on how they've organized that team, whether they were done as freelancers, whether Sega actually hired them like to be a part of the company. I'm not sure what their deal is.
Yeah, they could potentially pull a Project Sora and have like their own dedicated division for each of these companies to work in. So I could see what you're talking about. That could happen.
What I'm interested in is, where do you go with Sonic Mania? Because it was such a nostalgia grab that, yeah, it's a very solid game. They improved some deficits from the classic games. But I mean, even with the stages themselves, like, if we just have, the Sonic 3 to the Sonic 2, basically, just, more stages, but the same experience, is it gonna resonate as much with people? Because you had a lot of people that played this game because they hadn't played a 2D Sonic in a very long time. But it's like New Super Mario Brothers. You can have great stage design, you can have throwbacks to classic gameplay, but at a certain point, there's diminishing returns.
I agree with you, Spazzy. I reckon they can get away with making 3 of them as long as they, so they're not going to use Green Hill Zone every single time. And I think the amount of returning stages will diminish, but this sort of gameplay and style, it being like a Sega Saturn 2D Sonic game, will return. What I think is how they deal with that nostalgia grab. So, like, do you bring... One thing I'm always pitching for is to bring Amy Rose, the classic version, in, and make her playable. Like, then that adds a 4th playable character, and it's still a classic Sonic character. And, like, kind of connected to that, do you take the other classic Sonic characters that kind of cameoed in Mania, like Bean, Bark, and Fang, and introduce them into the story proper as this new game's villains instead of Eggman? Do you introduce Team Chaotix back with Mighty, Ray, Vector, Charmy, SBO, and introduce them into the story somehow?
I hate you, NantenJex, because you interrupted to say exactly what I was saying. So now I can't say any of that. That was literally...
Sorry. If you got anything to add, Spazzy.
Well, the one thing I was going to say before is, because I was actually going to straight up bring up the Chaotix and bring up Mighty and characters like that. I'm all like, but do you think the reception from fans now would be better or worse if they're all like, nah, this is, we're introducing a new character, Classic Shadow.
I mean, I think it would be mixed right now. I think, so Sonic Mania 1, by giving the throwback of Bark, Bean, and Fang for that one level, kind of got people really excited, because those are characters that people have wanted to see for a while, and there are other characters like Mighty that a lot of people want to see. And there wasn't really a precedent for it until they actually did it in Sonic Mania and did other cool throwbacks like the Mean Bean Machine and stuff. So now there's a precedent set for it. And if the next Sonic Mania comes out and has very little throwbacks to what people want, I think there are going to be people disappointed. Now, on the flip side, there are, I personally would love to see Classic Shadow and other, Classic Blaze, Classic Rouge, modern characters made, I don't know, chibi-ish or younger or whatever to fit this thing. But I don't think doing it now is the right way to go about it. I think you need to kind of get all of the classic line of stuff out of the way first before you then start integrating the modern stuff. And I mean, I was the same with Sonic Boom as well. I wanted to see these characters appear in Sonic Boom with new designs and stuff. I'm always open for that kind of
thing. I could potentially see them maybe 3 or 4 games down the line doing maybe a spiritual kind of successor thing with Sonic Advance, where that game had a different 2D art style compared to the past Sonic games, and they had way more playable characters. So they could do something based off of that. I think they'd keep I think Sonic Mania is always going to keep the classic look. I mean, they'll touch up the sprites and stuff, but I don't think it will get to the Sonic Advance's modern style.
And even then, Sonic Advance only had, at most, 5 characters in Sonic Advance 3, where it had Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, and Cream. Like, other than that, they've never really done it, and Sonic Mania is already 3/5 of the way there.
Yeah, and I think Sonic Mania was very much like a return to form, and that's part of what made it excellent, is that it didn't... Because even the advanced games had a kind of different play style. It kind of echoed like the grinding and boost a little bit of the 3D games and tried to implement that into the 2D games. Whereas this is like just classic Sonic, and I think that's, I think Sega and Christian Whitehead for sure knows where their bread is buttered, and that's kind of emulating and improving on it. And there's, like I said, there's a lot of goodwill right now to it. And I think it's just like, it's so tricky, I feel like, with something that's built on nostalgia, because you want to, I think when the first game, you have to kind of do it very by the numbers because you're introducing people to it again. But the sequel is going to allow them to get a little bit more creative and add new things. But they have to be careful about how much they add, I think is...
Well, I think that, the problem with New Super Mario Brothers, for example, is that it ends up kind of feeling and looking the same every single time. And that's because even though they're new levels, they all kind of share the same themes. So the one advantage that Sonic has is that as long as they don't reuse any of the... they don't reuse Green Hill Zone again, and they don't reuse Chemical Plant Zone again, but call back to other stages, like Angel Island Zone and Ice Cap Zone. I think people are going to be happy with that until they run out of stages, and then they're just going to have to focus on making new ones. Unless they want to turn stages from 3D Sonic into 2D, I'd be all up for that.
As long as I get to hear Escape from the City, that's fine.
16-bit Escape from the City. That'd be great.
Live and learn in 16-bit.
Yeah.
So great.
That's when you get to Sonic Mania 4 and they have to add classic Shadow in.
You know what? I'm fine. I'm fine with them adding more characters, doing whatever. Like, just build it out. Just try to keep it fresh. Yeah, because that's a problem with honestly, New Super Mario Brothers U might be the best 2D Mario game.
It's
but
really good.
Nobody cares anymore because it's not like going from Super Mario Brothers 3 to Super Mario World, The aesthetic is similar, the music is similar, most of the stages are similar, even if there's great design.
That's a problem. That's why I don't think we've seen another new Super Mario Brothers, and I think if we do see one, it'll be a port at this point for the Switch, because it's just so... They're always so similar. And to be honest, I think New Super Mario Brothers 2 gets a lot of shit on it. When it's actually a pretty okay game. It has the most variety out of any levels from any Mario game. It just came out next to a big HD Mario game that's had more characters and was bigger.
What are they gonna call a new Super Mario Bros. U on the Switch? I mean, we all know the U was supposed to be synonymous with the Wii U. And if Nintendo wants to erase the Wii U from existence...
New Super Mario Brothers for Switch, New Super Mario Brothers Deluxe. I mean, some people have thought a New Super Mario Brothers All-Star, where they have all 4 games in one, which I just don't see Nintendo doing.
Oh, but please do it, Nintendo.
I know they should do it, but they like money, and I can't see them
But, Sony likes money, and Sony does collections all the time.
I know, but, there's a big difference. I think with those collections, they're pretty much just taken and then put on there with maybe upscaled. You can't upscale the original New Super Mario Brothers to fit in HD. You have to remake all the assets for that. And then
the assets exist on Wii U. You just need to...
Well, they don't for New Super Mario Brothers DS, because that had a lot of original... That had bosses like Petty Piranha and King Boo and also and Dry Bow. Well, Dry Bowser actually is in all of them, but that was the only game that didn't have Koopa Links. Just again.
Well, can we at least have New Super Mario Brothers Wii, New Super Mario Brothers Wii U, and then New Super Mario Brothers?
New Luigi.
Yeah.
I reckon New Super Luigi U and New Super Mario Brothers U are a given. If they wanted to add New Super Mario Brothers Wii in there, I'd be okay with that. But I feel like the 3DS and the DS ones are a lot harder to do, because it would require more work, and simply because of that, I think Nintendo would be like, we'll charge them individually. Nintendo are also big on, their games don't get old, they think. Their games have as much value today. If you went back and played Mario Galaxy, you'd still valued at $60 or whatever price it was when it came out. That's how Nintendo sees it, because the quality hasn't gone down over the years.
So anyways, talking about Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah. Does anyone have anything else to say about Sonic the Hedgehog before we...
what were you talking about, Martin, before I interrupted you?
Yeah.
Never mind, it's far too gone at this point.
All right, so let's go on to our next news story. This one about another two big classic game series that have been on the decline with their recent releases. And there isn't really a news story to kind of go down with this. It's more been a general perception. And I wanted to talk about it. This is Dynasty Warriors 9 and Metal Gear Survive, both of which came out recently, and both really, really upset their fans. I mean, a lot of people didn't think there was going to be anything good from Metal Gear Survive in the build-up to it. It kind of just came out with no fanfare and then got a lot of controversy afterwards with having to pay to have a new save file, being a kind of generic zombie open world nonsense game. But I think Dynasty Warriors 9 is the bigger upset, because that was showing itself off as being Dynasty Warriors, but one big, massive open map. And so, like, imagine just slaughtering loads of enemies as you do in Dynasty Warriors while running around a giant open world map, taking on missions and all sorts. But when you actually play the game, there's very limited characters. They've removed, like, half the weapons and changed what the weapons of some iconic characters are because of this. And they've basically, there's nothing to do. You occasionally run into a group of 100 enemies that you then take down with ease, and then you run for like 5 minutes or ride on your horse for 5 minutes with nothing around before the next batch of enemies show up. And a lot of missions are simply defeat this enemy. But because it's Dynasty Warriors, it's really easy to do. There's a really good video that Jim Sterling did on this, because he's a massive Dynasty Warriors fan. He's been shitting all over this game, where he basically ran headfirst into an enemy camp, jumped over a wall using the new grappling ability that they added, grappled straight to the boss and took him out without fighting anyone else, and finished the chapter like instantly. And it's just a lot of the fun and a lot of what made Dynasty Warriors exciting hasn't been brought over.
I mean, my feedback for this isn't going to be great because I'm not a big Dynasty Warriors fan. I played the Samurai Warriors game that came out when 3DS launched, because I needed more games when that launched. I played some of the Fire Emblem Warriors game. Never actually played Hyrule Warriors. I mean, like, I played
by
demos.
Far the best one.
Yeah. I played one game on PS2. I don't recall, but yeah, I definitely have never taken a deep dive into the series. But I can see how doing like a sandbox experience with it would be interesting. Like, that could be a cool thing. Apparently this is awful, though. I can also see how it would be awful.
Well, I think the thing to take away from this is that they took a franchise that people, it was kind of niche. People either liked it or they hated it. But then they tried to make it into a very generic open world game and completely sucked all the fun out of it just to kind of become what's popular at the moment, because almost everything is becoming big and open world.
Right, it's kind of like what Monster Hunter. It's kind of like what Monster Hunter did, except they did a good job of it.
Yeah, Monster Hunter World did a good job of it, because Monster Hunter World isn't really that open world. It's actually just like more like they got really big maps instead, and that then there's less loading screens between them, because there's still as far as I'm aware, there's still like a central hub, like all the other Monster Hunter games.
Right.
What's just different now is that before the previous Monster Hunters were like segregated areas, and you ran through loading screens to travel from each one. Whereas now it's all just one big map. So it's kind of open world, but it's also just a bunch. It's not like Zelda's open world where literally everything is connected and active all at once, with the exception of the shrines.
If only the air molecules were counted as enemies, then everything would be enemies around you, and you would just have this infinite. I don't know. My position is I'm not a huge Dynasty Warriors fan. I mean, I played Hyrule Warriors once, and I think I've tried my friend's copy of the first Dynasty Warriors, and I never really got into it, but this doesn't really seem fun at all, just prancing around and running around, and you gotta have something to fight.
Yeah.
And I don't think Metal Gear Survive needs an explanation at all.
Well, I don't know. Have either of you looked much at it? To be honest, I'm not a massive Metal Gear fan. I've beaten the second one, and that's it. I've played through the first and fourth a bit, but I got bored of 4. And but Survive had like no fanfare, nothing about it seemed that exciting. It seemed like a generic zombie game, and then just all the really weird loot boxes, microtransactions, open world, paid for saves, barely anything to do. It's like everything that's bad in the gaming industry right now is just in Metal Gear Survive.
Yeah, Metal Gear is such a like singular vision of its creator that it's like how Ninja Gaiden is essential, or the new 3D Ninja Gaidens are essentially dead because oh god, I can't remember his name.
Begins with an N, doesn't it?
Yeah, I can't. It doesn't matter. But the dude responsible for the reboots left Tecmo Koei and Team Ninja, so they're essentially dead. And right now, I feel like Metal Gear is essentially dead. But the thing is, it was such a cash cow that they're trying to do something with it. But to be fair, I mean, this was a spin-off. This is like judging how Metroid is doing based off of Federation Force, you know?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's because this is the first Metal Gear game without Kojima, so it's hard to see. And it happens to be from Konami, who a lot of people don't like, and also just has every single feature that people despise in video games.
Can I tell you something? I do legitimately think for some reason some guy like in the high executive order of Konami was like, "Hey, let's just send this game out to die." You know,
I mean, that could have been the case. Like I said, it had zero fanfare. It got announced, everyone chat over it, and then it just kind of disappeared until suddenly a release date got announced, and then it came out. And barely anyone noticed unless they were actively tracking Konami.
I think Metal Gear is probably going to go on a little bit of a hiatus.
Yeah.
I mean, they want to milk that cash cow, obviously, but I feel like, you know, there's so much bad will from gamers because there's so many pro Kojima people out there. There's a whole, you know, fuck Konami thing still going on. That it's kind of a sensitive thing, and also like those are games that are like driven by the weird Kojima sensibilities and narrative. And if you don't have Kojima, they're going to need to get somebody with a very strong vision. It's not like a game that can be made by committee. It's not like Assassin's Creed. Any studio can make an Assassin's Creed game. Like, do you know what I'm saying? If you're
I get it. It's so much of Kojima that anything without is kind of different. It's kind of what a lot of people are worried about with Smash if Sakurai steps down, because so much of Smash is him.
Right.
And his direction, that having a new director may need to do
It'll
something
feel like
a
completely different series.
Yeah. And it's the same with Metal Gear.
Yeah, so unless they, you know, if Konami kind of, I don't know what their plans are, but I mean, if they restructure a little bit, if they get, you know, like kind of some young visionary people in there, I could see somebody grabbing Metal Gear and making it kind of their own thing.
Well, I'm okay with them pushing back Metal Gear for now to focus on other series like Castlevania.
I'd love it.
Goemon and
more Bomberman.
More Bomberman.
To me, they'll just entice people by saying, with every pre-order, you get a free Pachinko machine.
I'm surprised that, like, they've never been able to successfully take Contra into the third dimension, because it's a shooter. I mean, I know it's Contra, but, like, you can do something with that.
Well, didn't they recently release a 2D Contra, but only in China on, like, mobile phones?
Oh, yeah, like, I think they're making, like, China's making a Contra movie? I don't know, man.
I know. I just remember that Konami seemed to release really random sequels to their games in, like, just China.
Right, or just, like, it's like on iPhone in Malaysia.
Yeah, all for iPhones, yeah. It's just in weird stuff like that in West Asia.
But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, there's definitely there are a lot of Konami franchises that, like, are we ever gonna see a Suikoden game again? I don't know.
Yeah, Konami's in a weird place. We're just gonna have to see what they're going for. They've had Metal Gear Survive, obviously people hate for. People were mixed on Bomberman R. People either really liked it or didn't like it.
I don't think it's fair to judge Super Bomberman R based off of how it launched. It's a completely different game now. It's actually, I would suggest anybody out there that's interested in it to go check it out. You can probably pick it up for about $40 now, and it is completely worth it.
All right, let's move on to the next story then. And this time it's about another rumored game that's coming for the Switch. This time a classic game, and that's Diablo 3 from Activision Blizzard. Now, I believe that Blizzard were confirmed to be making a Switch game. I think they were amongst some of those developers that were there, and they'd been teasing doing stuff. And I remember a while back actually hearing about Diablo 3, as well as Hearthstone, but I don't know if that one's true or not. But Diablo 3, it was on consoles already. It was on 360 and PS3. And I mean, the reception for it wasn't massively great. I think when it came out, everyone liked it. And then as time went by, people didn't think it was as good as the originals. But recently, there has been, it was a post on NeoSeeker that Diablo 3 is going to be announced and coming to the Switch this year. And on top of this, Activision Blizzard came out and announced that they would be releasing more remasters of their past titles, alongside supporting games like Overwatch and releasing new titles in series like COD and all that, as they normally do. And this kind of ties in with another rumor from Laura Kate Dale that Spyro HD Trilogy is coming out after the success of the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. They're doing it now for Spyro.
Well, first of all, Diablo on Switch would be the first Blizzard game on Nintendo hardware in like around 15 years, I would say, since StarCraft 64. So that's cool. Blizzard, and here's the thing: Blizzard is still supporting Diablo 3.
Really?
Yeah, I mean they are. That's how Blizzard uses games as platforms now, basically. I think the actual Necromancer class didn't come out that long ago. I think there are rumblings of there being another expansion sometime in the future. So wow. It's not just like an old game. It's a game that Blizzard continuously is updating with, tweaks and this and that. So that's cool. I think it's a game that fits well on Switch. I don't think Switch really has any of those like dungeon crawl, like any really good dungeon crawlers like that. Like, Diablo is the best at that. That's, they kind of set the bar for those sort of things. And Diablo 3 also has evolved as a game and is much better received now than when it first came out.
Okay.
They did some things that people were not too happy about when it first launched, like a real money auction house. So you could literally pay for items in the game with real money, which some people didn't like. People didn't like that. Some
precursor to today's microtransactions.
Oh yeah, I mean there's a lot going on, but I think it's a good fit. I think Hearthstone would be an even better fit because that's a really good game on mobile, I think, and you can use the touchscreen. Like I don't think I would ever play it on when it's docked, but like when I'm on trips or something, like I play that game on my phone already, so I think it'd be a good fit. And as far as actual Activision Blizzard games go, I think it's weird. Like, I don't think any of the remastered RTSs, like, I know they actually did remaster StarCraft, and the rumors are right now that they're going to remaster Warcraft 3 because they actually did do, they have been actually making some weird updates to Warcraft 3, which is a very old game. But I don't think they would kind of retrofit those control-wise for consoles. I'm not just talking about Switch. I'm talking about, like PS4, Xbox, whatever. I think those are just such PC games. But, the big Blizzard IP, obviously, is Overwatch.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I don't see that coming to Switch, just because it would have to be balanced, I feel like, completely separately. And that from the console versions and from the PC versions, which are already balanced separately. Like, it would just add extra workload. And I don't know if it can be, like, if it would run as well. I don't know. But I honestly think that Diablo 3 is a really good call, a good fit, and I'd like to see it. So,
I think the rumor makes a lot of sense, considering that Diablo 3 is a mainstay when it comes to Blizzard. I believe, the game was ported to a lot of different platforms and should be able to run on the Switch, like Spazzy said. Basically, Spazzy took the words out of my mouth, and I fully agree with him on that. Now, I don't know if did you want to say anything more about that, Nan, or?
Well, I've never been a massive fan of Diablo. I think I was interested at the time when Diablo 3 was coming out, just to try and get into the series. But then, I guess it must have come out alongside other stuff I was more interested in, because I never bothered to pick it up. And if it comes to the Switch, I don't know if I'd be bothered to pick it up still. I still think I've got too much stuff to do. And I've played those kind of dungeon over-the-head ones. I think I played Torchlight for a bit on Xbox. And I played a really bad one by Square Enix called Dungeon something. So Dungeon something 3 that I played with a friend and got from Blockbuster for like £2, and it wasn't that great. But I just don't think I'm into that kind of game. Like, not over other stuff. Like, I'd much rather be playing Spyro HD Trilogy if that one comes true. And I'm hoping that one is true, because it's been a while since I played Spyro. I actually think I've only played the first Spyro. No, I own the second one, actually, so I must have played it at some point. But I have very little memories of Spyro. It's not like Crash Bandicoot. But I picked up the Crash Insane trilogy, and by the way, that's also rumoured to be coming to Switch this year, just to add that on to everything else. Yes. So if that does come to Switch, I'd assume the same thing would happen to Spyro, launch on PS4 first, Switch and Xbox a year later. But,
yeah, I never picked up the Crash games for PS4. Like, I've almost picked them up several times. I will pick them up day one if they come out on Switch, because once again,
see, that's an interesting one, because a lot of people have said, "Oh, I'm so glad Crash is coming to Switch. I think it would fit really well on Switch, etc." But maybe it's just nostalgia and how I view it. But I don't think I could play Crash on anything that's not Sony. I mean, that's not to say that I haven't done it. I've got Crash Bandicoot on the Game Boy Advance, and I have Spyro on the Game Boy Advance. But if I had a choice, I'd probably still go for it on PS4, and the same for Spyro, simply because of how I think those series are Sony series to me.
But I feel like Spyro is heavily exaggerated as a Sony series. Like, I think it was like 1 year after launch, it was already on the Game Boy Advance.
When did Spyro come out? Spyro had 3 games on PS1, so I don't think it was that late into the PS1's life cycle.
I don't know. I just feel like
PS2 was out before Game Boy Advance, I'm pretty sure, or they came out the same year.
I mean, I'll look it up real quick. The
first Spyro game was released September 1998 in North America, September 10th, 1998.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's like
when was the first game on Nintendo on a Nintendo platform released for?
That'll probably be the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah. Let's see.
I think there was a PS2 GameCube Spyro game, but there was also for Crash Bandicoot as well.
That was released in 2001.
Right. So, 3 years later, it's been on Nintendo hardware since 2001.
Yeah, so has Crash, and I mean, but people still think of Crash as a PlayStation one, and it's not like that's the only. I mean, since 2001 or whenever the Crash GBA game came out, they released multiple on the GameCube. The racing games were on multi-platform. Crash of the Titans was on Wii. And the Crash and Spyro in Skylanders are also on the Wii U. The
right,
Switch.
And all of the Legend of Spyro games were on GameCube and stuff. It's been I don't know. I feel like the majority of Spyro stuff has been multi-plat.
Yeah, it has, and it's the same for Crash Bandicoot, but I still think of those two as Sony because their original games were PlayStation exclusives, and those are the ones that I think me and the majority of people grew up playing. I'm not going to pretend that they were mainly Sony exclusives, but apart from the Game Boy Advance ones, I don't think there's ever been a time where I haven't played a Crash or Spyro on Sony, whether it be PSP, PS2.
I agree with I agree with you on Crash. I think I agree with you more on Crash because I feel like Spyro has had noteworthy games that are not on Sony platforms. Where I feel like all of Crash's stuff, the only games that were really any good were just the PlayStation 1 games.
Mm-hmm. People like Wrath of Cortex. That was also GameCube, and I like the Game Boy Advance ones. I didn't like the Game Boy Advance Spyro games. I hated them.
By the way, so the Rise of the Necromancer expansion for Diablo 3 was released on June 27th of 2017. So that was the last expansion. So that was, summer of last year. So yeah, like the game's not, like, because I know you're thinking of this game that's like this super old game, but it's available on PlayStation 4, on Xbox One, and it's still getting patches, and
Fair enough, yeah. I didn't know that. Then yeah, it makes even more sense to add it to the Switch and just have that have money coming from there, expansion packs coming from there as well.
And the base game release for that for Diablo 3 was May 15th, 2012.
Okay, so that's only 6 years ago.
Yeah, that's how. That's how Blizzard is doing things now. Like everything is just expansions.
Well, does anyone have any other comments on Activision Blizzard, or before we move on to the next news story?
I don't know. Are the Call of Duty games coming out for Switch?
I'm sure they will. I mean, both the Wii and Wii U got Call of Duty games.
As long as Treyarch is making those games. That's the only way I can see them coming to Nintendo Switch, but... I mean,
they're the main developers of COD, aren't they, now, Treyarch?
Well, I think they alternate between two developers.
Yeah, they do, but it used to be Infinity Ward and Treyarch, and then Infinity Ward left. And so I think it's Treyarch and someone else.
Okay.
I think
still,
I might be I'm not correct on that, but I feel like Treyarch probably would. It all just depends on success. I mean, COD's Black Ops 2 came to Wii U because the Wii U had just started, but then no other COD came after that because there wasn't a market there anymore. But I think Doom doing really well on the Switch shows that there's like a bigger market for FPSs on the Switch, and I think that'll be easily enough reason for COD to come to it.
Yeah.
Alright. So, going on to the next news story, this time it's from Disney, and it's kind of game-related, but they just released a new trailer, the first trailer for Wreck-It Ralph 2, Ralph Wrecks the Internet. And so this trailer has come out, and it's gotten mixed reactions, I'd say, from people. But I wanted to get everyone's thoughts about it from here first, so I'm assuming you've both seen it, right?
Yes.
So, Martin, why don't you start? What are your thoughts on the Wreck-It Ralph trailer?
It is obviously going to be the Emoji Movie too. I just joking by the way. Don't flame me in the comments.
That's pretty much what everyone's negative view of it has been.
You know what? To me, this is the Emoji Movie done right. Think about it that way. Like, literally, if you want to incorporate stereotypical internet memeage in some sort of movie, this is the way to do it. Wreck-It Ralph makes a lot of sense, and I think from the initial trailer, I think they pulled it off well. I mean, I actually laughed when they had all those pop-up ads that appeared in the trailer. Mm-hmm. Those characters playing the pop-up ads. So,
Spazzy?
You know what that's everyone saying, emoji movie done right, all that. But you know what it kind of reminded me of? You know that episode of Futurama?
I was going to say this.
Where they go into the internet, yeah. Like...
I was going to bring that up exactly for the pop-up ads and even the eBay scene that happens in the trailer.
It feels like a rip-off of that 5 minutes of Futurama. I'm like, they're just going to turn that into a movie. It looks all right. I wish that we would see more actual gaming. Maybe they were still, because like we saw like tablet shovelware. They're gonna make fun of those type of games, you know.
Oh, boy.
But I don't know. Maybe we'll see him go into an MMO.
I have a feeling this was taking a step away from
video games. Yeah, but that's what I loved. A big part of what I loved about the first Wreck-It Ralph is that it was kind of a love letter to classic gaming.
Yeah,
and I felt like that was something that could still have been mined for a greater effect. It's not like Toy Story 2 is all like they already saw toys. Now they're going to interact with footballs. You know, I don't know, man. It looks okay.
Yeah, I'm like a bit mixed. I love the first Wreck-It Ralph movie, and this trailer had ups and downs. The like you said, there's so much Futurama vibes from it, from the pop-up ads and stuff. And while I thought it was, fun, it didn't make me really laugh, mainly because I'd seen it before already. Although the tablet scene did make me laugh, and I think that's the thing that got a chuckle out of everyone. And to be honest, the complaints about it being the Emoji Movie, it's only really done because, they go to a tablet, and then there's also a scene where they go to eBay, and that reminds people of when the Emoji Movie went to Just Dance. But I think the difference here is that they're not going to eBay and going, oh, wow, look how amazing eBay is, blah, 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 like they did with the Emoji Movie. It's more like they go to eBay, and it's a means to an end to make some other jokes, and they're using eBay as a property, because that's what it actually is. And when people say, oh yeah, but this is what the Emoji Movie does, blah, 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 it's like, well, this is what the first Wreck-It Ralph kind of did, just with video game characters. Like, you're walking through the main hub, and Sonic the Hedgehog just flashes on a screen for a few seconds and says something. He goes to a meeting, and, like, Zangief from Street Fighter gives, like, a proper monologue that basically has the whole moral of the movie in it. And they go to, I can't remember what the game is, but the tavern that Ralph goes and drinks at is a video game, an existing video game. And apart from the ones that are really important to the story, like Fix-It Felix and Sugar Rush and the main villain's game, they're all existing games, and they're all there for a joke and for nice references. And it's exactly the same thing they're doing here. They're just replacing the video game references with internet references.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it looks funny. The jokes landed. It does tread some of the same material as the Emoji Movie, but it looks like it'll be doing a better job of that. But I don't know how interested I am of seeing that. And I'll probably catch it. I personally have Movie Pass, so I will probably see it because I see everything. Because Movie Pass.
Well, I think that's the big thing that's made a lot of people wary about this one. I think a lot of people saw Wreck-It Ralph simply because the references were about video games.
Right, it was a love letter to video games.
And now that the references have moved over to the internet instead, to have I guess not to retread old ground, to have something new to work off, whatever their reasoning, the people who liked it for the video game references solely are looking at this and feeling like it's not for them anymore.
It's very derivative still, though, because, once again, of things like the Emoji Movie, or like I said and you were thinking of, that Futurama episode, like, spot on, will be, I'm sure did a better job, but...
Yeah. But I think that some of the jokes are there, and as long as they're not, like, self-serving or parodies, a lot of people have worried over it, because one of the first things we found out about it is they go to, like, Disney's official website in the film. But if you actually read about the scene, like, they talk about how there's stormtroopers there and Tsum-Tsums and all sorts. But if you actually read the scene, it's like a massive parody of itself. Mm-hmm. Like, they meet all the other Disney princesses, and they're like all like not kind of acting in character, but also kind of acting like, American high school girls almost. And there's a joke around the one from Brave because of the fact that she's Scottish, so she says something and they can't understand it, and they make a joke that it's because she's from a different studio. And, like, there are some actually good jokes in there, and Disney are using their own properties to parody themselves, essentially. And I think if it's done in that way, it's fine. It's not like they're going over and being like, oh, wow, isn't this the greatest website ever? Look at how cool Disney is. They're taking advantage of their IPs. It's not like if let's just say, really throwing it out there, if they did a Mario movie or a Captain N movie, and they go and visit a load of Nintendo franchises, and no one would complain about that.
This one was kind of like...
They could easily make that and be like, oh wow, Legend of Zelda is so fun. Man, I should do this. I mean, heck, that's basically what Captain N, the cartoon was.
Well, anyway. If you think about it too, it's kind of like Captain Rainbow as well, with them doing a different take on their own franchises, and tweaking them a bit to make them more humorous. I mean, for example, the most well-known one, I believe, is Little Mac, who's just, fat.
Yeah, he's out of weight. It's Big Mac.
Mm-hmm. So, I think it's more comparable to that, maybe, but...
Yeah, but I think it looks fun. I think it's still set up to be a good movie, and I trust, I guess, the writers to pull it off. I mean, this is going to be an important one because this is actually a straight up sequel, and Disney usually their sequels will straight to DVD. And while they've talked about doing stuff like Frozen 2, no actual Disney sequel from the latest movies, this like second coming of Disney, have happened yet. So it'll be interesting to see if they can pull off Wreck-It Ralph 2, because if they can, then maybe they can pull off Frozen 2 or a Zootopia 2 or whatever. But if they can't, it doesn't particularly bode well for the other movies. But alright, let's move on to our final news story today, going back to the world of gaming. This time it is everyone's favourite Super Mario Odyssey, and it had a recent new update with Balloon World and some new costumes, and along with that, a bunch of stuff hidden in the data that people have obviously data mined, including a bunch of new hint art and new costumes. So the hint art, I'll give some context to what all of this is in case people don't know, is a bit of random. It's all a bunch of random images, but they all say placeholder at the top corner. So there's... it's temporary. I guess I should be really specific. So we don't know if these are going to be the actual ones where they are, because they're all for stages we know about, or if these are, literally just temporary to have the file be there. But the fact that we're getting a whole bunch of new hint art implies that we're getting a whole bunch of new moons. And this has led many people to think that this is basically confirmation that we're getting new worlds and stuff, because there's obviously a lot of people have been thinking about the Isle Delfino level that is on the island is on the map, and Nintendo purposely went out of their way to try and hide it, but forgot to remove the one of the textures so you can still see it in the game. And they did that for a reason, obviously. But the other thing was the costumes, and some of these were here when Mario Odyssey first launched, but some are new. So just going through them, there's a baseball outfit, a conductor outfit. There was a Link outfit when the game first launched, but it has since been removed, and we don't know why, and that's made a lot of people quite sad. There's a racing outfit, there's a Santa Claus outfit, a Satellaview outfit, a zombie outfit, an 8-bit Mario cap but no costume, and 4 outfits based on the Broodals costumes. So, this is really interesting. The Satellaview outfit in particular is really interesting. The hat is described as a helmet, so something he wears over and then the Satellaview suit. But I can't think what it could be. The descriptions, because these all come with descriptions as well. So the Satellaview helmet says a memento of some forgotten service, and the suit says this outfit represents what the future used to look like.
Okay, does Mario, I know this sounds like a stupid question, but does he already have a spacesuit?
Yes, he does. He has a moon outfit.
I was thinking back to that commercial with Mario in space with the Satellaview.
Yeah, that was my thought as well, but then I remembered he has an astronaut outfit. So there's no reason to have another one. So the only thing I could think of is maybe, because the Satellaview has 2 mascots. One is a satellite, and the other is a weird guy with an internet-looking face. And maybe the helmet, he wears a satellite on his head, and then the suit is just based off of the outfit the other one wears. Otherwise, I can't think of what it could be. Either way, it's a very random reference to have out there.
Yeah, it is. I'm trying to think of the games that Mario appeared in on the Satellaview. I mean, we had that Excite Bike thing with Mario characters. There was that limited Mario All-Stars time challenge thing.
Yeah.
BS Super Mario.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was it for Mario. There was a quiz show which had Toad as the host, but I don't think Mario appeared in it. But that was it. So, but yeah, what do you guys think of these new outfits, and what do you think the hint art? Do you think it implies a new stage is coming, a new level is coming?
I think there will probably be stage DLC. It would. I mean, the reason that I feel like Mario Galaxy 2 exists is because DLC really didn't exist for the Wii. And I feel like they still have a lot that they want to do, and I don't think they want to, create a new game. So the thing that makes the most sense is just expansive DLC. And there's so much they can draw from different games. I know everybody wants Isle Delfino, but I would love for them to revisit some of the stuff from Super Mario Land, the first one for Game Boy. Because that had some weird stages that would be super fun for Galaxy. For Odyssey.
They've already done a desert level with Maui heads. So I guess the next one would be Chaya Kingdom, the Chinese level.
Right.
Just have like the Great Wall of China going around it, and then
or go from Super Mario Land 2, and then you can have the giant,
Mario World,
the giant Mario World. Yeah. I do love the color scheme for classic 8-bit Mario.
I should mention
model.
There's a model that's actually taken from 3D World that's been found in the data, and it's colored in to resemble his color scheme from Super Mario Brothers 1. So his overalls are red, like his hat. His shirt is a kind of yellow, and his face is tanned, just like he was in the original game. And so some people think maybe the 8-bit cap is what does this. I mean, the hat on the model doesn't look 8-bit, but again, it's also not the Mario Odyssey model at all. So maybe this was just a placeholder or an idea they had originally that wasn't fully implemented, but now they're going to implement it with a new cap.
Sure. I love the fact that the description for the Link suit says this outfit from another lane comes complete with back accessories and says that it's sadly non-removable. Yeah,
I assume this means it had a sword and shield, the Master Sword and Hylian shield on his back.
Probably, but it's just kind of fitting that had that in the description.
Yeah, I would think more Nintendo guest outfits would make sense. But what do I know?
Yeah, well, that's the really weird thing, right? I have this feeling that this isn't all of them, unless some others got removed. I feel like there was a reference to a Peach and Daisy outfit in the game's code as well.
You know what I want to see now? I just thought, what the DLC land should be?
What? Go on.
Just Subcon. Just Subcon.
Add Birdo in. Add Wart. Give us the whole thing. Just give us a new Doki Doki Panic. Come on, Nintendo.
Have a stage based on the Mushroom Kingdom 2 level.
They should give him an Imagine costume. From Doki
Imogen
Doki
costume.
Yeah.
I mean, Nintendo don't own that, but that would be pretty fun.
But I feel like they can still give him a similar costume, right?
I mean, yeah, you should just give him a turban and a Toad outfit and just be like, hey, look, it's it's not Imogen, but I mean, it's basically him.
This is not copyright infringement. So
you don't own the copyrighted turbans.
Don't panic.
Don't panic.
Cease and desist on the concrete floor.
Oh man. Anyways,
but yeah, any other thoughts on these outfits and these hint art?
I'm really looking forward to the zombie outfit, believe it or not. I really enjoy seeing that aesthetic applied to different kinds of characters, and I want to see how Nintendo goes about it.
But Mario already has a skeleton outfit that's just creepy. So I guess a zombie one is perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm. But he also has an invisible outfit too, so this man's going through the ringer quite a lot.
Can we get third party? If I get
Man outfit.
Yeah, Mega Man. Mega Man's perfect. That would be so great.
I think we should start with the Nintendo ones. I mean, they should use the amiibo for it. See, I'm confused with this. Someone told me that if you did use the amiibo for Diddy Kong or Wario, you'd get their outfit in the game. But I don't remember that. Someone just said that. I don't remember that ever being a thing, but maybe I'm mistaken. I didn't bother to do it, and I've already got the outfits. But it would have been a nice thing to have, tap the Link amiibo, get a Link costume, tap the Samus amiibo to get a Metroid one, at least for series like that.
Mm-hmm.
Tap the Little Mac one and get his referee outfit. But alright, that does it for all the news stories we wanted to talk about today. But as always, we will go over a few Source Gaming articles that we just wanted to highlight. And the first of these was done by myself, with help from Nervion and Voyager for some visual effects, and that is, what if Smash Brothers was released on the Nintendo Entertainment System? So, there was a lot of thought behind this. It was just the idea of From Super Smash Land, which was a fan game if Smash was made on the Game Boy, and I've seen a lot of, Super Smash Brothers 8-bit pictures online that fans have made, and I was thinking, well, what if this was Sakurai's first game instead of Kirby's Dream Land? What if this was Smash Brothers released in 1990 prior to the SNES and Game Boy launching, and was just a big full of NES and arcade references. And so I went back and I looked over stuff, and obviously being a smaller game, I only had 10 characters rather than the 12. And while some might argue there should be less, Push said there should be 8, for example, there are NES games that have about 10 characters in them. So I don't see why Smash wouldn't be able to, especially when you have like Mario and Luigi who will basically be clones. And a lot of character moves I were kind of reused. I tried to stick as close as I could to Sakurai's own philosophy, where the unlockable characters are more unique or gimmicky and can be used making assets from the existing characters, and then the ones that were in the roster were the kind of actiony stars. There was Mario and DK Jr., and then Link, Samus, Pit, and Takamaru. And then for the unlockables, I had Little Mac, because Punch-Out on NES was so successful. Ninten, because Earthbound, the first game, had just been released. The Devil from Devil World, who I wanted to include, kind of because I wanted a random character that I don't think would work in any other situation that wasn't the NES. And also, he's a villain and another heavyweight character, and he could have a moveset. I thought it'd be fun to have a character like that included. And then the last was Luigi, because it's Luigi. But I enjoyed it. Was a fun little, thought process, a little mind game to give myself and see how it would work. I think what was the most interesting challenge was the moves, because obviously a lot of stuff was really basic at this time. Samus didn't have the charge beam. Link didn't have the spin attack. Pit was kind of the same because Brawly was already based on his NES counterpart, but like Mario's spin used the raccoon tail, and you couldn't have really like massive attacks or special charge stuff or anything like that because it had to be kept basic for the NES.
I would also think that I know you had the beam attack for Link's special, but if we're drawing from Zelda 2, he actually shot fireballs in that game out of his sword instead of beams.
Was it? I thought he had a beam attack as well. If you had full hearts.
Oh, yeah, but it was very small.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of, because he has that in Zelda 1 as well.
Right.
And it's easy to do. And kind of already, Devil was already shooting fireballs, and Mario was also shooting fireballs. And Luigi's green fireballs, and so I just felt like a beam would be different.
I thought it was a fun article. I would say that if I was gonna cut it down to 8, definitely Ninten and Devil are the two to go.
Yeah.
It's like, because even now they seem like so much smaller than the other ones were at the time.
Yeah. Well, Takamaru I was like 50-50 on, because again he would have only been a Japan-only character.
Right.
But at the same time, he was one of Nintendo's only action stars at that time. And he kind of made sense to include.
You have to remember that this would have come out before Kirby had on NES, so that's why Kirby's not on here.
So it would have come out the same year that the first Fire Emblem game did, which is why Marth isn't on there either. I didn't realize how late Fire Emblem actually was to release.
I do like the sprite work. I like how, because you see a lot of people make, quote-unquote NES-style games, but they give the sprites too many colors or they make them too detailed. And I felt like you did a good job sticking to, maybe they all look good, but maybe they're not all the prettiest sprites, but they can't be the prettiest sprites. It's supposed to be on, NES hardware.
That was one of the main things I was doing. That's kind of what I was a bit worried about, because Voyager made a character select screen from it. And I was almost worried that it was too detailed. The background was very Kirby's Adventure-esque, and the character portraits had quite a few more models than I was a few more colors, than I was thinking the NES should. However, he did justify it because the Mega Man 1, 2, 3 portraits have more colors because they use a technique of overlaying sprites to make an image, where there's actually 2 sprites on top of each other that use 3 colors each. And we mentioned that in the article in the design section, that the CSS would, because the portraits don't need to move, are just 2 sprites on top of each other to make it look a bit more detailed.
I'm going to be honest, my favorite part of the article was the box art. Nerbion and Voyager did a very, very good job. Props to you guys. Like that, I would literally download that and put that into a cover sleeve of sorts. That's really, really
I really like that. It was much more detailed than my original pitch to them was on the thing. I just wanted Voyager to make a Famicom box that said Smash Brothers, and then he could have just used... Like, I sent him artwork of NES Link and artwork of NES Mario, and was just like, put a Smash Ball in between them, have it look like they're fighting for it. And then Voyager was like, nah, mate, watch. Just make a brand new original artwork based off of a more, like, Japanese-friendly style. And then Nervion was like, watch me. I'm just going to do it. A bad American box art Mario and Link to fit the American style instead.
Yeah, I love the Link face in the American
yeah,
one.
I know. I love the slightly awkward leg. There's a reference to how Mario looks on the Mario Brothers 2 box.
Great. I also like the Smash logo itself.
Yes, that was Push's suggestion, because the thing with the NES is that it only has 2 slots, 2 controllers, and while you could say the NES 4 whatever it's called,
4 score,
yeah, for 4 players, no official Nintendo games use that, and the Famicom in Japan, the controllers were like basically hardwired to the console. So that wouldn't work. And there was a Japanese adapter. I don't know how they did it, but I know the Famicom, the controllers were just there. Maybe there was a way to forcefully remove them. But because of this, I don't think Nintendo would make a game with 4-player capabilities. And so it had to be 2-player. But the Smash logo, the being split into 4 parts, is a reference to the fact that it's a 4-player game. So we remade the logo being split into 2 parts instead, to reference the fact that it was a 2-player fighting game.
I think the best part is that there wouldn't be any stage hazards.
I was debating how many stages to put in. Actually, there'd be 1 stage hazard. In Bowser's Castle, the fireballs could jump out of the lava.
Yeah. I can deal with that.
Martin, did you want to say something?
Yes, I just want to point out that the Famicom box art got the product code wrong. It's supposed to be HVC, not HCV. But other than that, just wanted to...
You take it up with Voyager.
But other than that, yeah, good job, guys. I just wanted to point that out.
This color is slightly off mark. Take it back. Do it again. This isn't how they designed Famicom cartridges.
Literally unplayable.
But alright, let's talk about the next article. This time written by our newest staff member, Ashnik. And she looked back at the PlayStation 3. Because it just had its birthday. And she wanted to give a retrospective to the system's life. So I got into the PlayStation 3 very late into it. So a lot of the retrospective stuff is kind of missed on me, must be said. But what did you guys think of it? What was your history with the PlayStation 3?
Well, I had a friend who was very much into the PlayStation 3, so I used to go over to their house quite a lot and play some of their games. And they had the slim model, so it wasn't the original bulky version. However, because of that, of course, I didn't have money at the time, so I couldn't get it, but I liked looking into the history and just seeing the botched attempt that Sony made when they launched it. I always thought it was interesting that they produced these things for like $900, and then literally the price was $600, so they were losing $300 on every PlayStation 3. And they were thinking like, okay, well, how about we make it up with software sales? However, in the initial run, I believe there wasn't that much software due to the architecture of the system, so they screwed themselves over bad with the cell processor. And then, yeah, it was just a clusterfuck in, like, the first 2 years, I think. And then after that, they had many, steady stream of games, so I always think that the history of the console is pretty cool. And then the first model was like a giant tank because it had the original PlayStation 2 hardware in it.
Excuse me. It was a George Foreman grill, very clearly.
You could go with that too. But
have you never seen the people that modded, and by modded I mean gutted out and just use the case, the original PlayStation 3 and turned it into a George Foreman grill?
I'm sure. I think I've probably seen the picture of that. Yeah, it's just a grill with a PlayStation outside.
I've never seen that. I only known about the military using it as a supercomputer, but like that was it. Wow.
Yeah, it was a very powerful machine, but a very expensive one. Sony got very cocky after the success of the PS2, which ironically is kind of the same thing that happened with the Wii U. Nintendo got very cocky after the Wii's success.
And then the same thing happened with Microsoft.
Similar name. Yeah, Microsoft with the 360 and Xbox One. It's kind of this. A lot of people getting on their high horse with this, and companies overestimating themselves. So, Spazzy, what about your thoughts on the PlayStation
3? The PlayStation 3 is such a interesting case study. I ended up buying it used on Craigslist because I remember I had a friend who worked at Target at the time, and he would tell people when they came in and wanted to buy a PlayStation 3 for a while, he's like, for the same amount, you can buy a Wii and an Xbox 360. And he sold lots of people that way because it was so overpriced, and it sold awful for pretty much anywhere except for Japan, because it was kind of the HD console of choice in Japan.
It was the cheapest Blu-ray player.
Yeah, it's because Microsoft didn't really have a presence in Japan. I think that's the big thing. A lot of people only bought PS3 for a Blu-ray player, in the same way that a lot of people only bought PS2 for a DVD player. Because a lot of the content that was on PS3 was also on 360, which was vastly cheaper, and sometimes the better version of the game.
Not only that, but here's the deal. At the beginning of last-gen console life cycles, Xbox 360 had, like, the reason I bought an Xbox 360 over a PS, because I bought my Wii at launch, and then I felt like I needed an HD console because of certain games that were coming out, and I've always had multiple consoles when I can afford them. These were exclusives that I had to play. I love Ninja Gaiden, so Ninja Gaiden 2, BioShock, Mass Effect. I'm like, man, look at all these amazing exclusives that Xbox 360 had. Fast forward, 6 years later, at the end of the console lifecycle, they didn't have those anymore. At the end of the console lifecycle, especially when prices went down, the PS3 was a better system. But literally the first half, there was no reason to own a PS3 over a 360, because the 360 had a lot of amazing exclusives, and it was way cheaper. It wasn't a Blu-ray player, but I don't really care about that.
The only reason I got PS3 was because I was in college at the time, and a new friend of mine I'd met there was a big Sony fan. And he convinced me to get PS3. He also convinced me to start using a HDMI cable, because I'd been playing 360 with a AVI cable for about 5 years at that point.
But what's funny is the PlayStation 3 ended up selling a decent amount of units, but only because it was around so long, and because the consoles the console generation cycle lasted so long that they just kept selling them, and eventually, it ended up looking like a very competitive console, but it launched so badly. It was so expensive. It didn't have that many great exclusives. But like I said, it ended up having a ton, and the PlayStation Network exclusives were good. You have The Last of Us, all the Uncharted games. It was a good system. Last time we were talking, I was talking about rebuying a PlayStation 3, like last podcast, so...
Alright, so the final news story we wanted to talk about today, it's a very brief one. I've already given my opinions in a video on discussion, but I thought I'd wind up a few listeners right at the end here.
Hey, before you guys start, I need to get going. Family stuff.
Okay.
I apologize.
Martin, very quickly, Smash Switch, it'll be Smash 6, right?
Yes.
Okay, there you go. Direct your hate towards Martin.
Hey!
But alright, see you, Martin. Thanks for joining us.
No problem.
Alright, and Spazzy, very quickly before I guess we start wrapping everything up, what are your thoughts? Smash for Switch, it will be Smash 6 or Smash 5?
I think it will be Smash 6, but I think it's hilarious how much salt this causes, because it's going to affect nobody in any way whatsoever. This is going to be an internal development number in Sakurai or whoever's head, and it is the correct one. If you don't believe it's the correct one, you're wrong, because that's what the creator has said. And because it makes sense. In internal documents, that's what it's going to be. It's not going to be what it's called. It'll be called what it could be called Smash Brothers 4. It could be, Mortal Kombat 10 was Mortal Kombat 10, but you're like, hey, where was Mortal Kombat 6? It was whatever they called it. It doesn't matter. It literally has no bearing on anything. It could be Super Smash Brothers kerfuffle. That's fine. I don't care. I just think it's really funny how upset this topic is getting people.
I know. I think this is why maybe I'm just an evil person, but I found this whole situation very kind of amusing. Just because it's I mentioned it in that discussion. It's very pedantic and it's very like everyone knows what you're talking about. When you say Smash 4, people just associate the 3DS and Wii U on the same way, and people just think of it like that. And like when you say Smash 4, they think of both usually. And it's in the same way that, people say Nintendo of Japan or NCL, and they both mean the same thing. Nintendo Japan isn't what they're called. They're called NCL, and if you say Nintendo Japan, you're wrong. But people know what you're talking about. And it's the same thing here. If you say Smash 5, it's Smash Wii U, and that's correct. If you say Smash 4, you're wrong, but people will still know that you mean Smash Wii U. And it doesn't really matter, but it's a matter of having people, if the option is there to say the correct number, you should just say the correct number.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't care. You can believe what you want. No sweat off my back.
Well, just wait until the Smash for Switch gets announced and it is called Super Smash 6.
You know what? I'd be fine with that. I'd be like,
so would I, but I'm just wondering how much mad salt and how many confused people there will be. How many people will come out and be like, what happened to Smash 5?
Or what if he comes out and calls it Super Smash Brothers 5 because he feels like it?
Yeah.
Then I don't care.
Then we're sitting there like, for fuck's sake.
Well, whatever. You win. You win this round, Internet.
I just wanted to get more thoughts on the matter.
Yeah, because we don't have enough salt.
But all right, thank you, Spazzy.
I need to salt all the food on my PlayStation 3 grill.
But all right, Spazzy, thank you for joining me today on this podcast.
You are very welcome. Pleasure to be here as always.
Mm-hmm. And let people know where they can follow you at.
8bit_Spazzy. You'll find me. I'm just mostly on Source Gaming. Just go to our Discord and just talk to us.
Yeah,
talk to
Discord
us there.
I'm always signed in on Discord. I probably use it way too much. It's distracting at work, but I can't help it. I'm a socialite.
Right. Join our Discord and tell us how stupid we are about Smash Brothers 5/6. Just do that right now.
Yeah, join our Discord and pay attention to the YouTube channel and keep following all the podcasts and all of that jazz. And yeah, tune in for the next episode 13 in a few weeks. Hopefully by that point we'll have had a Nintendo Direct and we'll have a lot more news to talk about. Hey, that Sonic thing might have happened by that point, and we'll finally have Shadow Mania.
We'll have man, I can't wait till they do a Sonic and Mario game. They movie. They just like smash the franchises together. It's gonna be great at the Olympic Games.
A movie at the Olympic
Games. Yeah. Oh, so good.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Until next time, always remember to return to the source.